Yo, what's poppin'? You know what time it is? Mr. J Hill Podcast. We are in the building. Oh, man, this is special. As you can see, I'm not in the studio. I'm actually in New York City. So if you hear some police sirens, it's a part of the culture. It's a part of the city. That's what we're doing, right? I'm in the hotel room. Yeah. It's a small hotel room. It ain't like a suite. So don't think because you see a lot of space it's a suite. Nah, because we be making shit happen. We put the bids up in here. So I need you guys to understand, man. We took it back. I got a special guest in the building, somebody that I wanted to talk to for a very long time. And I'm going to tell you why soon. Mr. Ian Schwartzman is in the building. Manager. Executive producer. Investor. And I want to call you a part-time creator now. Ooh. Welcome to the Creators Club.
Part-time.
Oh, full-time. Because what is a creator?
Interesting question. Somebody who takes the time to make something they see in their head and then materialize it.
So it don't have to be on camera.
Absolutely not.
It doesn't have to be on audio or microphone or nothing.
Absolutely not. What about painters? Photographers?
This is true.
They're creators.
They bringing something to life. So I would say
absolutely
full-time creator.
I create things.
You do.
Both that I'm visually in and some things that I'm not visually in at all.
What's your proudest creation?
Ooh. I have to think about that. My proudest, everything I put my mind to, that I commit to, I'm proud of equally. I mean that too. I know that could sound corny, but the truth is, if I commit to doing something, it's because I have something racing through my head that I feel like needs to come to life. Mm-hmm. And so once I can materialize it, I'm proud of it. And everything that I touch, I'm proud of. A lot of shit fails. Some of the stuff is successful. Some people notice some of the stuff I do. A lot of shit people have no idea the creations I've made. But that's kind of the way it works.
Sheesh. You have any kids?
I don't yet.
Okay. You just dived into a whole different conversation I wasn't even ready for yet.
Okay.
About just having a lot of the creations that you've done that people don't even know about. That goes to shits.
Absolutely.
Right? And it reminds me of like the music business as far as like record labels.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't understand. Like they hire maybe hundreds and hundreds of artists, but you see the one that pop, that's the one that's paying the bills, kinda.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it reminded me of that. But before we get there,
okay.
Before we get into all of the business talk and everything, who are you, Ian Schwartzman? Who is that?
On a personal level?
What's the first thing that comes to
mind? Driven, hungry, motivated to do things that are felt and affect the world. I have a drive to do special things. I'm hardworking. I like to feel inspired. If I'm inspired, I'm going to do everything I can to bring something to life. If I'm not, I'm going to walk away from it. I think that's who I am in a nutshell.
No, I asked that question because I feel like more recently people been asking me that, and I feel like everything I am is something that you can't see on camera. You can if I chose to show you, right?
Right.
Everything I am is outside of the media and workspace. This is work, right? It's fun, but it's work, and I feel like sometimes in this space it's so easy for you to lose who you actually are. Because you're pretending to be somebody else to get to a place where you can be yourself, but by the time you get there, you already lost it.
That's interesting. I agree with you. I think the entertainment industry has a dark cloud over it. It makes you feel like if you don't pretend to be something you're not, you won't be anything at all. And it's untrue. I think the biggest success stories are when you can be comfortable enough to be yourself, and then people are gravitating towards who you really are. Because then you're not putting on a show anymore. Now you're just being genuinely you.
That's a fact. But in today's society, even in the industry, I feel like it makes it so hard to be yourself because everyone has an opinion. The internet is a powerful place, both good and bad.
True.
Right? So if you're a slimy individual,
yes,
it's gonna expose that.
It could. People have good masks sometimes, especially in this business.
That's true.
So I think, yeah, a lot of things come to light. And then depending on who you're around, there's things that don't ever see daylight. And those people can continue to be slimy. So who you surround yourself with determines who you end up like.
Do you think that when you hear the word genuine, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Unapologetically being yourself, even if it's abrasive to someone else.
That's good.
You know, like just you're able to be you, even if it rubs people around you the wrong way. That's what genuine means.
You know why you're here?
No idea. Well, I have an idea, but I don't. You have to tell me why. It's your show.
You are here because I wanted to pick your brain. I feel like you are behind probably one of the biggest, I don't want to say cultivation, that we've ever seen in this space.
Okay.
It's easy to look past you to the talent. Not saying that, let's clear the room. You're Joe Budden's manager.
Yes.
It's easy to look past you and to look at what came about through you and with you, Joe Budden.
Sure.
Right? But
well, Joe Budden is Joe Budden before me.
Facts.
Regardless of the podcast.
100%.
Okay.
But if you're smart, you understand the collaboration.
Absolutely.
Right?
Or maybe you don't understand it. But that's why we're here.
If you're smart, you understand.
Okay, if you're smart,
I don't know why it's happening, but you got it. We got it.
Yeah. If you're smart, you understand there's collaboration in most great creations, most great entities and empires that are built. There is collaboration inside. So sure.
And this is why I wanted to talk to you, because at first glance, it's easy to say, yo, let's connect the dots. I want to get close to Joe as possible, right? But I don't think, and I'm gonna be honest, I feel like once you have a certain level of success, it's hard to remember these times. Not saying you don't.
Okay.
But who better to talk to than the person that's been there doing the business, helping doing the business the entire time?
Right.
Me personally.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring you on because, again, it's genuinely for you because I know that you can teach us, the people that's creating, people are like me, so many things.
I appreciate that.
Nah.
I feel like I could pass along knowledge that can help a lot of people too. But
I asked that in connection with the genuine question because coming up in my community, in my environment, I always thought being genuine was a good person. So I would think me bringing you up because my intentions are good, I'm genuine. And that got me in a lot of trouble in the industry for my short term.
I could see why.
Because I thought genuine, but you can genuinely be a slimy person.
Or you could genuinely be an asshole to people who don't deserve an opportunity.
My point exactly.
You don't have to be an asshole.
My point exactly.
But it could be perceived as you're being an asshole because you're not lifting people up with you as you rise. That still makes you genuine.
Facts.
It doesn't make you a bad person. But if your goal is to elevate, sometimes you can't bring everyone with you. So the way you came up, that would be perceived as you're not genuine. But the truth is, for you to help anyone else, you have to help yourself first.
I mean, we know that we get on an airplane, they say, put your mask on first if everything was to happen, right?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Let's get into it.
Okay. I thought we got into it already.
Oh, my mic.
Yeah, take a second. It's all good.
My bad.
That's because he made you put the mic on the outside. Now you have problems.
Right. It's ingenuine. This is not genuine.
What is
to
it?
What I wanted.
Disingenuous.
Disingenuous to what I wanted to do. But
Guy wanted the mic inside. Your team's making you put it outside the shirt.
Well, hey, they know what's best.
But
man.
they know what's best for you.
They can see.
See, there we go with the team.
That's
You
super
have them
important.
around for a reason, right? You got to listen to them.
Facts. That's why I listen.
Or at least hear them out and then disagree.
Oh, I'm gonna listen. All right, it's better to listen. Trust me. I want to ask you, being so close to someone a lot of people look up to, Joe Budden, right? How are you able to have discernment when it comes to dealing with certain people? Because I'm pretty sure you probably get a lot of people who try to get in contact with Joe through you.
Absolutely.
It's just staying in the genuine conversation.
Everybody isn't meant to be close to what we're doing. So just because they reach out doesn't entitle them to get close. I use my better judgment to determine what needs to get close and what doesn't. And I think Joe and I have a close enough relationship where he trusts my judgment and I trust his judgment, and we allow each other to do our jobs so that we could stay focused and on the path we plan to be on. I mean, yes, people try to get close, and there are some people that do because they deserve to be close and they have something they're bringing to the table that may not even benefit us, but that I feel like is important to be around Joe. Then I'll fast track that request to get to Joe. But if you're just coming around to cling on and waste our time, then yeah, I do everything in my power to keep you away.
I'm trying to understand something. Before you was his manager, how long did y'all know each other?
Joe and I were meeting for about 3 to 4 months before I started officially managing him. And Parks on the podcast, he was the one who approached me and told me, hey, Joe's looking for a new manager. Because Parks and I have worked together for years already. I managed DJ Premier too. And DJ Premier has had Parks as his engineer.
Yeah.
So while I was managing Premier, things were going well, and Parks is like, I know Joe's looking for a manager. I think you'd be great with him. And we had a private conversation, and then he connected the dots for us to start meeting and seeing if we'd be interested in working together. So I would say there was a couple of months where we were back and forth. I was touring with Premier, and things weren't official between Joe and I, so we were just having conversations to see if we gelled, if our personalities would work together. Because to me, it's not a job. It's very much, my role is as a manager, as a partner, is very much relationship driven. Like, we have to be able to communicate with whoever I work with. Some people think it's, if you're a great manager, you could work with a great artist. That's not true. If you're not able to communicate effectively with the people you work with, you may as well not get started. So I spent those first few months before we were officially working together to feel out what kind of person he was, what his goals were, what he was looking to achieve, and to reverse engineer in my head, am I able to add value to this situation before I made any real commitment.
But where were you at in your career at that moment before you decided to move forward? Would you say you were successful?
Yeah, I was. I was successful before Joe.
Okay, so in that moment, being successful as a manager in your career, right? What made you take that leap to? Because I feel like at that moment, Joe had a lot going on.
Absolutely.
What made you say, "Yeah, I want to do this with this guy"?
His honesty. Joe has this ability to be vulnerable, and not put up this facade of like, I'm greater than all. I'm this artist. I'm this celebrity. He was very transparent with me that he wanted change in his career, and that what he was doing wasn't working, and that made me feel like, oh, this is a good situation, because he's not entering the relationship acting like he knows it all. He's actually doing the opposite.
Humble.
He's humble, and he was like, what I'm doing isn't working for me. So I want someone who can come in and show me a different way so that I could achieve some of the things that I see a part of my future. And that was more attractive to me than anybody that has a built-in machine and just need someone to come in and plug deals in place. I was up for the challenge.
Oh, but you had to see something though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In the midst of so much chaoticness
Yep.
and craziness that could be going around an individual,
Yep.
what did you see in him?
Yep.
Again,
Okay.
that make you say, of course, but besides being humble,
Yep.
that's what make you like him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But were you able to see this
Yes,
then?
absolutely. I'll tell you this. Before I got started with Joe, I've always been a diehard Howard Stern fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a broadcast junkie for that type of media. And something that always drew me to Joe was his stint on reality TV and just how open he was to the world about whatever was going on in his life.
Mm.
And I just remember him being such a lovable person and so polarizing. Like, he wasn't playing some game for the cameras. And I remember his WBLS stint. He was a radio host.
Yeah.
And everything he did between radio and reality TV was attractive to me. I wasn't even the biggest fan of his music, if I'm being honest with you. He knows this. I was a fan of his personality.
Mm.
I always thought his stardom was going to be biggest on TV and broadcast. And so that's what I saw in him. I always looked at him like an even stronger version of Howard Stern for hip-hop and for music and for the culture that I was involved in. So it wasn't me meeting him that attracted me to working with him. It was me knowing what I liked about him, hit the qualities that I was attracted to him. And then that conversation and the conversations that came after that let me know that, okay, what I can see him doing in a big way, mixed with the attitude he has and the vulnerability and his ability to say, okay, I want to do things differently. All those things together was the perfect cocktail of ingredients that you need to find success. Mm. So that's what I saw in Joe. I mean,
do you think, because like we saying about the team, sometimes you got to listen to your team,
absolutely.
Even when you don't agree. Do you think he saw it like you saw it at that time?
He didn't know me well enough to know how I was going to treat the whole situation. I genuinely believe he knew he needed a team that could help guide him in a much different direction.
Not the team, though. Do you think he saw this?
I think he listened to Parks. I think he heard Parks when Parks probably went to him privately. I wasn't there. And probably went to bat for the way he saw me changing things for DJ Premier at the time.
But no, not even the management and the relationship.
Okay. What are you referring to?
How we see Joe as a superstar podcaster, podfather, right?
Oh.
Do you think...
Do I think he saw that?
Yeah. His space in the media then.
No.
Like you saw.
No, I don't think so. I think he saw an opportunity to do something different at that time. I don't think he imagined how big it is today back then. So, I think that developed over time.
So as a manager, and you having that foresight,
yep.
How was the conversations to help him see something that he probably couldn't even see? It had to be difficult at times.
Of course. I mean, those relationships are difficult because as an artist, I think a lot of artists want things now. Mm. They're like, oh, this is what I want to do now. And if things don't happen quick enough, if the reward factor isn't there quick enough, I think a lot of people give up. So for us, the conversation, I was always the long term. But think of it like this, Joe. If we do this 100 times with YouTube, if we upload video to YouTube, if we distribute the audio to more places, if it gets in front of more people to hear and see what we're doing over the course of many years, it's programmatic. We're going to change the way people hear and see what we're doing. And it will therefore change our business. That sometimes wasn't good enough for him. But I know in hindsight now, he appreciates those conversations we had. It was a lot of, we have to think long term. This isn't going to happen overnight.
I asked that because just the manager, I'm trying to paint a picture of the manager artist dynamic.
The dynamic.
Right?
Yeah.
And you say a lot of times people quit. And I'm wondering, who would you say quit the most? Is it the management for the artist because it's too difficult? Or is it the artist to the management because they think the manager don't think they know what they're doing?
That's a good question. I think managers quit too quick because they don't see a check. And I think artists quit too fast when they don't see the results that they want. And both of those things together usually make a relationship between manager and artist end way before the fruits of their labor come to life. So it's not one or the other. It's usually the impatience of both parties. Managers are, traditionally speaking, are so money hungry, and they're trained to think that if you're not making money with your artist now, forget it. It's never gonna happen. No one has any work ethic anymore. No one wants to put in time. Everyone thinks the whole trip is supposed to be up. No one's on for the journey when things go like this. To go, okay, it's down right now. What can we do to build it back up?
Or the other side, and I'm being transparent because, like, when I had management, sometimes, right, if it's not about money, it could be, okay, if it's not about the money and my client isn't listening, I feel my client isn't listening to me, then where's the value in that? And I think it's kind of like, when I think of that, I think of like a relationship, a long-term relationship. Yeah. Because I'm married, right?
I'm married too.
You're married.
I'm married.
And in marriage, things don't always go how it's planned, like how you want it to go, right? But through your covenant and in your marriage, you have to stick it out and fight through and find a way.
Absolutely, man.
But I'm assuming if I'm signing paper with you and we talk about money, we talk about you thinking long term. Yeah. I'm assuming it should be the same way. But because we aren't married, right, or having that sexual chemistry, we don't see the value in keeping that when I feel like you're not listening to me or I'm not getting the money.
That's a really good point. I will tell you this. Joe and I have had so much success because we're able to function like a real relationship. There are times he doesn't agree with me. And there are times I don't agree with him. But I have to do my best to understand where he's coming from and realize just because this isn't working doesn't mean the overall relationship isn't working. And I know he does the same thing. This is a journey, man. Like, when you sign up for the type of relationship that is artist-manager, don't get into it if you're not thinking long-term. Don't get into it if it's not meant to be the trip. And I mean that broad stroke. Like, if you're not in it for the whole ride, don't start it.
That's interesting. What did you guys ever have to, like, fall back and be like, man, the friendship is more important than the business?
No, because
it was always both.
Because it's business before friendship.
Wow.
For Joe and I. Our friendship developed because of, let's go back to your word, genuine. Because we're genuine with each other. We have some conversations that maybe aren't so good to the ear, but they're needed. I respect Joe. And I know he respects me. That's why it works. We don't always agree with each other, man. This isn't some, like, dictatorship. Like, before you're like, oh, if a manager gives advice and the artist isn't listening, every artist I work with, every client of mine, everything I say isn't just law. Like, yeah. I'm a person. I'm giving what my perspective is on the situation. And they have the right to disagree with me.
That's crazy because my situation was like opposite as far as we was like, man, this ain't working and I'd rather keep the friendship. but the business still goes on. That's weird. So it's like now it's like a.
Were you friends before business?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why.
Yeah.
Another problem in the industry, I think, that exists a lot is people hire friends before they hire the people they should really have around them.
Wow.
I mean, it's a common mistake. It goes back to what you said initially, which was, you said to me, I came up in a place where being genuine meant bringing everyone with you.
Or being a good person.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said being a good person is bringing everyone that you care about with you. That doesn't make you a good person, in my opinion. That means you have a big heart, but a big heart could help you drown quicker.
Facts. That's a fact.
That doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. It means you have a good heart. I think a lot of people in our industry work with people that they're comfortable around rather than the people they need to be around. And that's why they end up in fucked up positions.
Yo, let's get into some of this business, man. You guys have probably one of the most interesting takes on like ads, revenue, and Patreon, and like just let's say subscription in general. Okay. Subscription-based content in general. Although I can see the value in it.
Okay.
How can I ask this question? Although I can see the value in it, do you think that's for everyone?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
At first. But let me flip it on you. Let me ask you a question. Do you have Netflix?
I do.
Okay. Why is it okay? Why do we as people support companies like Netflix? But when a creator wants to treat their own content that they put their time, energy, and resources into, does the same thing, we question it and look at them funny. We don't know a fucking thing about the people at Netflix. I'm not even bad-mouthing. I love Netflix too. But now here we are. You're a creator. You're making a business of content, are you not?
I am.
Okay. Don't you want your content valued correctly?
Who measures the value though?
No.
I do want it valued correctly.
That's all. My question was, do you want it? Do you want it valued?
I do.
Okay. Because you put time into this.
Yes.
Okay. What something like Patreon does is allows you to value or put a value to what you believe your content is worth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the choice is up to the people that follow your stuff if they want to sign up for it or they don't. They don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, that doesn't have to be the only destination that you put your content on as a creator. Because you're a Patreon doesn't mean you can't be on YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or X. You could be on all those at the same time. It doesn't stop you from creating an ecosystem for your content the same way the networks do. Now, people don't like to hear me say that. The first thing they'll say is, you're just after the money. That's bullshit. You don't say that when your favorite show goes from movie theater to streaming service to television network to DVD. No one says a thing. But when a creator tries to do it, you're going to get pushback.
I understand that. I just think this value thing, we have to be careful with this.
Okay.
And you have to understand who you are. Because if you are someone, Joe Budden, I think you mentioned Shannon Sharp, Gillian Wallow, whatever, A-list celebrity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do that. But I think sometimes when you guys are having this conversation, the audience is bigger than the A-list celebrity. So we're looking at it like, oh, maybe I need to do that. And I'm looking at it like, I don't think so just yet. I think you have to build yourself up so you can be a Netflix. Netflix isn't just Netflix. They didn't just come. It's so many people who try to have streaming services,
Yeah.
they aren't Netflix.
Yeah, but Netflix is a company that came in with a ton of funding. What I'm saying is, you could be Jay Hill, and I'm not downplaying your audience, but wouldn't it be a beautiful thing if 100 people said, I'm going to pay you monthly to watch your content? 100%. If that was your starting point.
Yeah.
Because you start there. It doesn't mean you can't go from there to where Netflix is. But if you're constantly in this pattern of I'm waiting to build myself up moment, it's really just a way of saying I am afraid it's not going to work. So I'm going to wait till I feel like it's so big that I can do it too. That's just me reading you, because I think you represent also the fear of most creators.
I want to represent that right now.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I get that. I think that there's value in that. And so I definitely understand everything's not for everybody. And there's value in being wide and not having a paywall. But I would be doing a disservice to creators like you and others that are either planning on making this a career or already have it as a career. Instead of chasing down a Netflix deal, make your own Netflix is my point.
100% with that.
Instead of waiting for that deal, make it for yourself. That's my message, is that there's always going to be the desire to be recognized by the big companies. And I co-sign that. I think there's some value in it. It's reassurance, it's affirmation, all good. But in the world we live in today, there's really no excuse to not get started yourself. I'm not saying make it your only path, but it's there. It's accessible to you today, and 10 years ago it wasn't. So why not get started on it?
So how do we, because when we talk about somebody paying for something, you have to give them value. It can't just be
okay, there we go.
Some BS, right?
Absolutely.
How does a creator think outside the box to create that value? How was you guys able to create the value for an audience? I mean, a wide audience to come through and start paying top notch.
Well, remember, for us specifically, I don't want to always use us as the specific example, because then I'm going to get hit with we're not you guys. So why give that as an example? That's just an easy setup to be cursed out.
But you wasn't here all the time, though. No.
You know what I'm saying?
You didn't start here, though.
Right. Absolutely.
So we want to know. So we want to know you, because we see this is the outcome of the work that's put in.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can get there.
Everyone can.
So we want to know from you guys. That's what we want to know.
Well, I'll give it to you from my brain. My brain says that it doesn't matter if you have 100 people following you and listening to every show that you have, whether it's a podcast or a show, or millions of people. The way to add value is to add something to the way you release your content that is different from your normal routine.
Like what? Give me an example. You're an expert in this.
Okay, here's the example. If Jay Hill releases once a week publicly to the world, why can't Jay Hill release twice a week, except one of those episodes is behind the paywall? And so if you like listening to Jay and you are a ritualistic listener and viewer of your content, whether it's one person or a million people, they'll want to see that second episode a week.
That's true.
Now, to me, that's the easiest way to put it. If I get any more complicated or complex with it, I'm opening myself up to get shit on for no reason. And then we lose the value in the information. So that's the best way to put it.
When you say open your... Wait, I don't understand this. Like, what's the fear in opening myself up to be shit on? Like what's the...
It's not that I have a fear. It's that most people don't want information. They want you to give them the result that they're looking for. They don't want to work for nothing.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying this is what you would have to do, they're seeing all the legwork that goes into it.
But
and they say it's easy. It's easy. It's easy for you to say.
But we're not talking to them.
How do you know we're not talking to them?
We're
talking to everyone.
This is not for them.
We're talking to everyone, Jay.
Facts. Okay. I'm curious. This is curious. on the other side of that, right?
Okay.
You guys have episodes that you release just for Patreon.
Yep.
That's never hit YouTube.
That's right.
What about the creator side of, or the other side of the end, where you might bring in a small time creator that can use that publicity, right? But you guys put it on a paywall, and it's like all of my supporters went to pay for this, and I don't get the benefit of it being shown on the
How
world.
do you know you don't get the benefit? Do you have all those people watching your stuff?
I mean, if you bringing me on, I have value. You bringing me on for a reason.
Because maybe I like you. No one knows you. I'm just saying.
For the people who do know, for the guests that you might have, like small creators,
okay,
right? We
Yeah.
don't need to say no names, but for the small creators, but not small, the medium creators that have a viewership, right?
Yeah.
That have a good audience, that have their own audience.
Why do you think they're coming on, Jay?
You know why they coming on?
Then why are you asking me this question?
But it's for the it's for the opportunity.
There you go.
Of being on a bigger platform. But if
You
you
just
put it
answered your own
but
question.
No. If you put it on a paywall, I don't get that opportunity no more.
How do you know that?
Because Patreon and YouTube is wide open. We just seen Shannon Sharp do 50 million views.
That was Cat Williams sitting next to him. That wasn't some random person with a few followers. It's a superstar. So we cannot compare apples to oranges because you won't get the answer you want. I hear what you're saying. There's a reason people step foot on other people's platforms. It's because they're looking to expand their audience.
Yes.
It's that simple. I'm sitting with you. There's going to be people that see this that have no idea who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be people that see this that have no idea who you are. And that's the reason we sit together. That's an exchange of goods right there. We don't need money. It's not about that. So when you say, why would I come to sit behind a paywall? How do you know how many people are back there watching and listening? That's the point of coming on.
If I come on your platform, it's the opportunity to get a bigger
exposed.
audience.
Okay. Who says you're not? You are. You come on, it's because...
So you tell me you have more views on Patreon than YouTube?
That's not what I said. What I said, and I won't get into specifics about anything about our business. What I will say is that don't for a second think that you're not getting exposed to an enormous amount of people by going to any one of our properties. That's a mistake to assume. That's all. That's an assumption. You're assuming things.
Okay.
And it's because a lot of times the assumptions happen because the assumptions are happening because they can't imagine having that type of setup for their own show. And they look at what their peers have behind paywall and they go, oh, that ain't shit. It's not YouTube.
So where do we draw the...
Can you ask him that question again and you answer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We got the wash out. It's all good, bro. I'm
all right.
because it was genuine. It was so genuine. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, you're good.
I got a thing with that. Okay, where do we draw the line between the value and I don't want to make this a money thing. It's not a money thing, but a lot of times we are as creators, and I'm not trying to make excuses as well, but a lot of times as creatives, we're doing this on YouTube because we have an opportunity to get the maximum exposure, right?
I respect that
Where do we
very
draw
much.
that line? For example, you said, you tweeted, imagine if, for lack of better words, imagine if that Cat Williams interview was behind a paywall. But it's like, man, I need this. If I can get this to do 50, now I might can get a deal from a company worth $100 million.
Well, first, I will say that the first few lines of what I tweeted were, what an incredible achievement
For sure.
that Kat and Shannon had such an amazing and enormous interview that got, in the first weekend, 25 to 30 million views. It's something no one's done before.
I ain't trying to shade you, though.
No, I don't.
I ain't trying to throw you under the bus.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are.
Yeah.
But it wasn't stepping on it. It was acknowledging that there are other methods that could have been included in a rollout. Not his rollout, not that opportunity. It's just an example.
Yeah.
And so, I just find so many times people are dependent on whatever they're most knowledgeable or comfortable on, instead of looking for ways to increase the value of what they're building. And I think paywall is something we're trained to do as the consumer for every other company out there. Why the fuck aren't we including it in our workflow as the creator and business side of what we're publishing? Why is it we're willing to pay these big companies, but when it comes to the content that we're creating internally with our teams, we're scared to use the same tools and resources to build that kind of model for our own businesses? I think that's insecurity and fear that needs to be challenged on our side. And I say I mean from the independent creator side. We deserve it. You deserve it. But you have to take those steps.
That's a fact. I think, like we said earlier, sometimes impatient people give up. One of my friends that does a show, they started out trying the app thing. And the app thing just wasn't working. Matter of fact, shout out to my guys, Ty and and Ryan. They do Hardly Initiated podcast, right? So it's funny, like, because maybe not even a year ago, we all having this meeting, and they trying to do the subscription-based kind of like tonight's conversation, right? But it wasn't working for them.
I have a question before you go any further.
Go ahead.
Were they also using the YouTube's, Instagrams?
No, they were just doing.
Okay, well, see, to me, I'm not saying use one or the other.
You're saying both.
I'm just saying incorporate as many techniques as you can to empower your own business. I'm not suggesting that anybody should just use Patreon and only Patreon. That may not be best for your business. I'm also not suggesting you should just use YouTube and Spotify. I think the way you learn what works best is by going more wide, studying the information that you get based on your releases over time, and then chipping away and customizing to make it work for what your goals are.
Okay, I like that. Let's get into some more advice for creatives, though.
Okay,
you guys are not really big on advertisement. Correct me. What?
I think the better way to put it is we are selective.
Okay, very selective.
Of course.
Okay, but
of course,
in that it almost comes off as unapproachable. Like we don't want
to who
advertisers.
Who does it come off unapproachable to?
It seems like.
Who does it come off unapproachable to?
When I watch it, it's like, man, this nigga don't do advertisement. I want to get to that point.
No, you don't. Because the second that we would do it like everyone else, you'd be doing what every other fan that listens to other podcasts does. They go like this. Where's the stop button on this? You know why? Because it's fucking annoying.
It is. It is. No, I'm saying I would want to get to where you guys are at because, like, you promote it like you don't need it. Of course, you probably don't need it.
It's not about need. It's about understanding where the value is in this broadcast business. It's in the audience. So if you turn away the audience for whatever the reason is, you start disrupting the experience because you're throwing 100 ads into an episode, or your content's not interesting,
or you're a broke podcaster and you're trying to get some money and you have an audience and people are.
If you're a broke podcaster, more than likely you're not getting advertising anyway. So who gives a shit?
That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of creators out here who have a lot of views. That's broke. So they use.
How do you know they're real views? And what does views mean? See, and that's where we have a problem. Just because you get views doesn't mean you have value to your show.
That's true.
People, that's the issue I have with people being so overly committed to
vanity metrics.
Yeah, I mean, metrics are important, but actual measurable engagement, like does the audience react or move when you ask them to? That's valuable. Just because you can get some views on a video does not mean the audience is going to follow you to your next endeavor.
That's a fact.
And I think there's a misconception that a lot of views means a lot of value.
Because these companies are paying us for the views.
That's what you think.
Of course they want.
They're paying for impression, yes. They're paying for visibility and awareness, yes. That's a piece of what they pay for.
Mm-hmm. And the sales, of course. Of course. But it starts with the views. They won't even give you a... If I have 800 views...
What about your listens?
Yeah, and the listens, of course.
Okay.
If I have 800 views and 2,000 listens, it's hard for me to even get somebody to notice me. But out of that 500 views and 2,000 or 800 views and 2,000 listens, I could have 50 people coming and purchasing with me. But they won't even give me a chance because it doesn't look good. They look at it from face value. I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving this guy a chance.
Let me give you another scenario real quick. Let's just say you have, every episode, you have 1,000 views and 800 listens. But every one of those 1,000 views and 800 listens are located in Towson, Maryland. And you know that those listeners and viewers are in Towson, Maryland. And you go to the local pizza chain in Towson, Maryland, and you say, every single episode that I release once a week, 1,000 people from this town are watching and listening. I want you to sponsor my episode, the next 5 episodes. And I could guarantee you that these are 1,000 people that you could add to your business. There will be a sponsor from that local business, that pizzeria. That will be somebody who will be willing to sponsor you. You don't need 1 million views. You need information. If you have the information, you could do a lot with it.
Jeez, how do you get the information?
You distribute your podcast, right?
Me?
I mean, you distribute your show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You get the information from the dashboards that allow you to see it. So if you're distributing your show, your content on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, there's back-end dashboards that show you where your viewership and listenership is. It may not be so geo-targeted to where you're seeing where they live. Okay, it's not as specific as that, but it's rich enough to give you an idea of where people are tuning in.
So what's the most important, we talking about numbers and
Metric?
yeah, what's the most important metric?
There isn't one. There's, whatever. There's a handful. Age, demographic, gender, location, and frequency of listening or viewing. I mean, to me, it's all of those things kind of mixed together. And, all of those different elements give you an overall understanding of who's listening and watching. That's the important thing. It's once you understand it, you could take the data points. It's boring stuff. But if you could take it and paint the picture, like I just said, you made something sound really depressing. I have 1,000 viewers and 800 listeners. I flipped it and made it sound valuable because it is to somebody. Now, Coca-Cola may not come to you with 1,000 viewers. But McDonald's doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
But if you understand where these people are, and then you go, okay, let me go knock on these 10 doors because it makes sense for these 10 different companies to advertise with me. You could make it have value to it. And I think that's what's important. It's not about all the views, because most people can't do what Shannon Sharp and Cat Williams did. That's an anomaly.
That's a fact.
But a lot of people could get on here, and I think we'll see it a lot more, and stay consistent and figure out how to find an audience. And not many people are going to end up like the Joe Budden podcast. But it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful or can't be successful.
That's a fact.
So
no, I agree. It's like we were talking about music artists. Not everybody is Jay-Z.
Or will be.
But it's a lot of artists out here who you don't know their name that's supporting their family with their music.
Absolutely, man.
But are you okay with being that person?
There you go. It's an ego thing.
Yeah.
See, I think there's something really special about being able to pay a bill or bills doing something you love.
Thank God for that.
Just one bill. Imagine, I said this the other day. I said it somewhere online, but I said something like, if you could take care of one of your bills, doing what you love, whether it be making music, creating content, drawing, whatever your craft is. Who knows what it could be anything. It doesn't have to be an entertainment business, but doing something you love. Would that change your mind about committing to it more, putting more time into it? I think most people quit at these ventures because they don't see a dollar fast enough, so they go, it's never going to happen.
He's so true. It's so true. I think even talking about seeing the value, you don't see the value in yourself. I had to trick myself, not even trick, but just...
Yeah, you do have to trick yourself. That's a healthy thing.
Sit down and have a hard conversation with myself multiple times to say, bro, you are not these people yet anyway. Mm-hmm. But look where you are today from where you were yesterday.
There you go.
Like, I'm going to be completely honest. I had
Some sick-ass conversations you have to have with yourself, right?
Like, it's so easy because you're looking at where people are today.
Yes.
And you're measuring it to your success.
Comparison's a thief, bro.
Right. So it's like, and you got to tell yourself, it's like, man, look, bro. I got 80,000 subscribers, man. I was just at 20. Thank God for that. It's like you looking for a million. There's somebody that's like, he got 80. So you definitely got to see the value in where you at and just how far you come.
I know a lot of people with 80,000 subscribers that are doing way better than people with 5 million. But we'll leave that.
No, that's a fact. That's true. Where do you think we go wrong in this space as creators? Is it this? Like, what is this?
That's funny. We shouldn't even be holding these, but we are.
What is this?
Where do you guys go? Where do creators go wrong? Creators go wrong giving up too quickly.
Facts.
Not problem solving. Not treating their career like a lawyer or doctor. It's rare you hear a creator reference a professional that takes a very mapped out career like a doctor, for example. Doctor has to go to school for 8 to 10 years before they even have a job. They're in school, broke, busting their ass, figuring out the whole time going, how am I going to pay off $500,000 in medical debt? They become experts. Then they get to go work. And then people go, but yeah, you don't know what it's like because you make all that money. No, they know what it's like. They went broke figuring out how to get this education so that they could practice their craft. Why can't creators take that same mentality and go, I'm getting into this, and I don't give a shit if it takes me 10 years of not making a dime. I'm going to stick with it for these 10 years. Don't even put a time on it until I get it. Yeah. See, for me, that is the ingredients that is missing from this industry.
It's Instagram, though. And not even Instagram, and I said it thousands of times. It's IG as in instant gratification.
Oh, that's dope.
Because we want it now. We want the success that we see now, right?
Because we see other people with it.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's why it's funny, we were just having a conversation off camera, me and my guy Jay, about nowadays you see rappers saying, I'm not a rapper. You see podcasters or interviewers saying, I don't do journalism. It's lazy. In my perspective, you can't say that. In my perspective, it's a lazy way to have a shortcut of not doing the work. Yes, I'm a journalist. I have to prepare. I do my research. Yeah, exactly. I put time into this. Yeah. But it's like nowadays, those things are so cliche that they get thrown away. And it's like, nah, this is just a conversation. It can be both.
Yeah, you're right. People feel entitled to what they see other people have. They eliminate the work that had to go into it for that person because they're just seeing the product of the work. And then they say, well, why can't I get it fast? And this sense of entitlement just overwhelms them. But the reality is, with or without Instagram, no one you see that's crazy successful had it happen overnight. It may feel that way or appear that way to the naked eye, but they put in time and effort and work, and that you got to go through it to get it. I gotta ask you this.
Go ahead. What about the small creators that's hating on like myself, right?
Yep.
I be hating on because I just learned this. I be hating. That's hating on the people who are enjoying the fruits of their labor from their prior career. Let's say a Shannon Sharp, even a Joe Budden, Gillian Wallow, or Cameron Mace. You see the smaller creators like, man, you guys had a career before this. It's easy for you. But really, they really just reaping the benefit of the hard work that they already put in.
But that's bullshit. Like Shannon Sharp was a football player. That has nothing to do with what he's doing now. He has to get up and put in time, energy, and effort into this new venture he's in. If anything, I have more respect for him now that he had a career in football and could easily disappear and just enjoy his life not doing this. Or at least I shouldn't even do that because that's assuming. The point is he's putting in work to do another project that takes effort. Mm-hmm. Joe is putting in the time day in and day out, works harder than anyone else I know to make the show the greatest show in the world. So people who point the fingers, that's insecurity speaking. That's not genuine. That's their mind taking over going, I'm jealous of what I see. I don't want to put in that work. So I'm going to point at what I think knocks them off their rocker.
Or what I think was your benefit. Like, oh, you did this.
Right,
so.
like, oh, this is easy for you because you had this before. Like, it couldn't be further from the truth.
But anything, it shows how special you are. Kind of like what you're saying about Shannon Sharp. The fact that you could come in and do something twice. A lot of people can't do something great once. But the fact that I can come in.
And different things.
Yeah, I can do a great thing multiple times.
Shannon Sharp sat next to Cat Williams. He wasn't sitting next to a football player. And he made an incredible moment. Many of them. Cat wasn't the only one. He has really special interviews.
Yeah.
So I look at that and think, wow, this is a talented man that has many talents beyond the football field. I look at Joe, who was one of the greater rappers and musicians, and look at his careers, plural, that he's had before, during, and after his music career. That's a special person. That's nothing to take someone and try to knock them down. You could only hope that you have the determination and mindset to accomplish the things he has. That's, if anything, I look up to people that do things that I haven't. That helps inspire me.
Okay, we're about to get out of here, man. What was the word you said again in a DM? Salacious?
I said no salacious conversations.
I just want something small, I promise. With the epidemic of podcasts right now,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys take responsibility of what's going on in the
Absolutely. And I'm proud of it.
You're proud of it.
Absolutely.
It's disgusting right now.
Mimic is the most dearest form of flattery. It's nice to see that something that we've helped build and put out in the world is something that other people are inspired to try themselves. And
it's getting out of hand, Ian. Come on, man.
No, that bubble's burst. Most of the people who were in it just for shits and giggles have, failed and aren't even doing it anymore. And I'm glad they even tried to begin with. It showed our impact.
Conversations are this bad. It's getting bad. Come on, man.
Listen. You don't have to listen. Don't tune in. Let them flounder. There is some really crappy stuff out there, but I don't waste my time watching and listening. I focus on what I'm doing. Trying to take over the game. I'm not thinking of what someone who's not doing it right is doing.
Do you think it's reached its peak up and it's about to go down? Or
I think the hype behind podcasting is over, meaning everyone and their mother thought that they could make a podcast because there was an easy check behind it. Once they couldn't find a check, all the weekend warriors gave up. I mean, it's true. And now you're looking at what's left, and what you're going to see is the cream rises to the top, and there are some new platforms out there that are really special that now need to work hard to maintain their spot and or elevate, and I think there's going to be a limited amount of success, because in any industry there's a lot of participants, but there's only a few that are really great.
That's a fact, yeah.
So I'm happy to be where we are. I'm also happy to see people that believe in themselves try to put stuff together and win. Listen, and the people who don't really believe in it, I like to see you fail. And that's just in anything.
That was as salacious as I could get.
You're not getting any more out of me.
I appreciate you, brother, for real.
Appreciate you for having me,
I
man.
thank you for coming. We made this thing work, man.
We made it work, and I had a good time with you.
No, thank you, brother.
You're good at what you do. I've been watching your stuff, and you're part of the class of creators that I'm speaking to that deserve to get their stuff valued correctly. And, I think you're on a good road right now.
No, I think
I know you take your stuff seriously, and it works.
Thank you. We need these conversations because it do get scary, bro. Like, just being honest.
It's scary as hell, man.
But the more we can have these conversations, the more motivated we can get to say, I drop like 4 episodes a week.
There
like,
you go.
But maybe I need to do 5 now and put 1 on Patreon,
There
right?
you go.
If I can do 4, I can do 5.
You can.
But the more we have these conversations, the more it's going to motivate somebody else to do it.
You could do it.
So, yeah.
You could do it, and it's nice to see people like you having important conversations, because I agree with you that if we don't talk about it, everyone just keeps repeating what came before them, and then there's no growth. Like, someone's got to do something outside of the box. Someone's got to do what we're doing so that everyone's not in line doing the same shit. There are other paths. There are other ways to get to that top of the mountain that you see. And sometimes it's not the way you think. It's not the way you think. It'll surprise you. It's like music, right? I know I'll leave you with this. I work with a lot of musicians, and oftentimes they pick what is the single. This is what I'm telling you the single should be. And then what ends up being the biggest single is a song they didn't mention on the project. It's just what the fans reacted to. And so that same rule applies to the plans you have for your business. It may not be the most obvious path that you're picking that's going to help you get to where you're trying to go, but there are alternative paths out there that can work even greater than you think.
Don't leave me with that. I'm sorry. You should be used to this. I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
got a couple more questions because I said the one great thing about podcasting is like a free consultation. I know. It's like a free consultation.
A free what?
Consultation. So let me get my shit out.
Go ahead.
What's some advice, or what's the best advice you can give me when it comes to starting a network? Like, I'm creating a network, and should I even do that? Is it too early for that? What?
How many shows do you have now?
Me personally?
Yeah, just one.
Oh no, I have a couple. Me personally,
Like titles of
Yeah,
styles and titles.
I have 3.
Are they all with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you starting a network because you think it'll bring in more money, or are you starting a network because you want to help elevate your brand and other people?
Yes. Because it was both of them things that you just said.
Both.
Like the second one, you said 2 things: help my brand,
Yep.
and help other people.
Okay.
That right there.
Okay, that's a good reason.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, go ahead.
It's going to help my brand because I'm able to show, of course, other bigger companies that it's not just me, and I have other shows that we can pitch. So instead of me trying to pitch a J Hill podcast, I'm pitching a network. Right?
Yeah, you're pitching more variation of shows.
Exactly. More money, bigger source, and that. But helping other people as well as giving more people opportunity to get eyes.
Okay.
But I also want to help people grow their own YouTube as well. So we understand the importance of resurfacing, distributing your content, right?
Over different places.
Exactly. So why not give me the full episode or clips, and I help you build yours? Because just because you give me an episode don't mean that you can't post it on your YouTube. So I want to help because I have the knowledge. I've learned these things over the years.
That's
so
right.
Those are my
I think
2
that's
reasons.
a great idea.
Yeah, that's my 2
I think
reasons.
if you're looking to grow your brand and you're looking to help elevate other people with the audience you've built yourself, then a network is a good idea. I will tell you, my advice is to go slow and only work on projects that you believe in. Only work on shows that you yourself don't feel like you have to sell, but that you would you'd put your own feet into. Not just because you think other people are going to like it, because you like it. Because these are all labors of love. It's stressful. It takes a lot of time, like for yourself.
Yeah.
And this stuff's not easy. And like, these are not shows. I tell people, these aren't podcasts, these aren't shows. These are startup businesses. And startup businesses take a long time to start making money. You have to put a lot of effort and money in before you see anything out. And so it's really important to be mindful of that before you commit to anything.
So what I was thinking at first was I want a show that's already established, that already has been recording, right? Because I want to see the seriousness in it.
Yeah.
Do you suggest that way, or creating your own show that kind of belongs to you and starting on your channel?
I wouldn't suggest one way over the other. I think you have, like I said, what comes first is you believing in it. So whether it's an established show that you're looking to bring onto your network that's already up and running, and you want to work with them, or it's a talent or a handful of talent that you want to work with to create an original show, I think either is totally acceptable. It's just about, do you believe in it or not? And if you do, whatever you believe in more, that's what I would suggest you go with first.
And what about, last thing, you can make a network, so, because me and Jay, I just want to talk about this, about creating a network and a show not necessarily being on your YouTube channel,
okay,
but it's still being a part of your network. How would that what would that look like? How does that work?
Well, you just said it before. What if you have segments on your YouTube, or maybe it's not on your YouTube at all? Maybe it's behind a paywall, or maybe it lives only on one of your social media platforms. But then they have their own property too that you build up for them, so that fans of this other property know to go here to catch that show. Everything doesn't have to, like, that's more important. My point is, everything doesn't have to be the way we know it to be. Get creative. Change it up a little bit, because guess what? You copying an archaic old fucking model that no one cares about anymore isn't going to do you any good anyway. This is a time when the whole landscape of content, television is being reinvented. If anything, my advice is to do the complete opposite of what you see happening from the past. Try some new stuff. It could only help you.
I like this. This is good, man. Ian Schwartzman, guys. Mr. J Hill.
J Hill, guys. What?
I appreciate you, brother.
Hell yeah, man.
J Hill podcast is a wrap. We out. That was good.